expands. So right now I can't see it on my timeline, but I'm sure it's going to show up someday. With me on the call is Caty Hendriks from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Caty, can you please tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Natalie, first of all, for asking me to join. It's really great that you're doing this and bring in this period of time some happiness. So what I do is I'm a speaker and trainer and coach, and I focus on relationships and communication, personal and business-wise. And especially during these times, I think a lot of people experience stress or frustration in their relationships or with the kids or in business, because no money is no income is no freedom. So yeah, that is what I do.
Very good. Thank you very much. I think we can definitely use your expertise on this show today, because relationships are on the strain. All kinds of relationships are on the strain. And
Yes.
it's because maybe some of you are doing home office and they're cooped up together and they're not really set up for home office.
Yeah.
Or they're not doing home office and they would like to be home, or you're having trouble with your team members because various reasons. Things are not going smooth. You have to change a lot of things around, adjust a lot of things.
Yeah.
So all relationships are under strain. And if you have any questions for our relationship expert, please put them in the comments, and we can answer them as best we can, because I think this is the show for you. This is the show for you to increase your positive focus and outlook on the whole situation. And there's always a good thing in everything that we experience. You just need to look for it and find
Exactly.
it. Sometimes it's more difficult than other times. But yes, let's get this done. So let me see. Yeah, we have a couple of viewers already. So please put your name in the comments and where you're from. Where are you dialing in from, please? Let me put that in the comments here. And where are you from? Hi, Caty. So what did you bring to the table today for the show?
What you said exactly is that people have to work together in household during the day, when normally they would go out to work, kids are going to school, or indeed in business that normally you are together, and now everybody's on their own spot. And how are you going to work together? So this creates a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, irritation perhaps, and because you're stuck together at home, or exactly the opposite, you're all spread out during office times, and it makes it more difficult. And the problem is that for a lot of people, that they start to think about it a lot, and only thinking, worrying, getting irritated, getting frustrated in home about kids or the partner. And yeah, well, that's normally, of course, and we're doing a lot of assumptions, and both of them are not helpful in the relationship, actually. What do you think? Do you experience it the same?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have a really luxury setup the way we have it at home now. We have several offices and we can spread out, but I can imagine that a lot of people don't have that. And so if you have your kids at home and then you're supposed to also work at home, and then maybe both partners are at home and they're supposed to work and there's no room to navigate around each other, I think that can create tension and stress.
Yeah.
Do you have any strategies for that, Caty?
Yeah, well, exactly what you describe is my situation. I fortunately work from home already for 20 years almost. So I love working from home and used to it, doing it. And we have another spot for my husband, so that's good. And my kid is working at home too. But the worrying thing is especially the thing we actually need to stop. That will solve a lot of problems, because the worrying keeps us in the past or in the future. And I can imagine, as a human, I can imagine that you worry about the money, you worry about the crisis, about the corona, getting it or not, spreading the virus, etc. There's a lot of to worry about, but it will not help you, because not at all. It will not help you because you cannot prevent it, of course, by staying at home. But for the rest, you cannot do anything about it besides keeping yourself healthy. But the worrying itself will not help.
Right. So what do you do? What's your strategy against worrying, Caty?
Yeah, the first one to stop with worrying is to do something different and say to yourself, okay, I will go and stop worrying now and do something physical, something different, but especially physical. So start singing, for instance, or start dancing or walking, or do something physical to distract yourself. And when you do something different like singing, you have to think about the singing and you cannot think about anything else. So you cannot worry. And
okay, good. Singing and dancing instead of worrying. Right, that.
For instance, or learn something new, or read a book, for instance. Reading a book is not that very physical, but do something new in which you have to use your brains for something different, actually.
Yes, very good. So we talked about it the other day in one of the shows where we said that the physical state changes. Changing the state you're in will also change your energy. And we did some jumping jacks. So anything like that you can do to get you out of that downward spiral.
Yeah, but do something positive. The jumping jacks is good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's doing. That's really good doing some jumping jacks, and that's good for the energy. Right. But after 10 times, you start worrying again. So do something different after that too.
Yeah, don't keep repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Katarina from Germany and originally from Slovakia. Good to see you on the show. So today I made a little mistake, or I don't know what happened, but it's just didn't post on Facebook. So this happens too. When you're dealing with a lot of technology, it can happen that you forget some things. One of the really good techniques that I learned also when you're in a downward negative spiral thing is labeling your thoughts. And that's a very interesting technique. Have you heard about that, Caty?
I think what I know that you mean. So, but please explain. What do you mean by labeling your thoughts?
Thank you. It's from the book Come to Your Senses. I think I mentioned it once before. And what he says is whatever thoughts you have, especially the negative ones, just label it. Say, oh, I now have the thought I'm worried.
Yeah.
And this automatically puts you in like a witness seat where you're witnessing yourself, you're observing yourself rather than being stuck in it. And it eases on the pain and the frustration because you're like, this is just the thought. Because that's what it is. It's just a thought. It's nothing else. It's just a thought with some negative energy attached to it. But when you're labeling it, or, I have the thought that maybe I will get sick, or I have the thought that my neighbor's across the street. You can label anything, and it will put it into a different perspective. So that's one of the things that I use when it happens to me. All right, but please continue. Oh, we also have Harry on the call. Harry from Einsiedeln, which is in Switzerland.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for explaining that. If you have any questions, just let me know. But what you said about labeling the thoughts is a good one because it creates distance between you and the thought. And also, it makes... what another thing is that comes to mind when you told me that, is what we did before is like saying thank you to the thought and let it go. So thank you, mind, for telling me this. I don't want to do anything with it, and see you next time. Something like that. So be grateful for it and get rid of it.
Yes, something like that. Okay, good. And you also brought us a strategy on how to deal with relationships right now in these challenging times. Yes?
Yeah. And one thing is that the foundation should be clear. And what I mean by that is that the values you have as a family or a relation should be really, really clear. And what I mean by that is that, for instance, love is one of your values in relationships. Mm-hmm. And but there can be a change of thoughts on that. For instance, love for you is something different than love is for me. And when that's not clear, what we mean by the word love, then there will always be irritation and frustration. For instance, when for you, love is that we talk every day to each other and tell everything to each other, that is love for you, because that's sharing your what you're going through and what you think of. For me, for instance, it can be that I think love is that I give you space and do something for myself too, and that we're happy doing that. But that's completely different. That's really actually opposite to each other.
Interesting. So there's different perceptions about one word or one value. So how do you fix that?
By talking about it. First of all, write down the values you have. Most of the times, 5, 8 values is really the maximum. So it's about 5 values you can share as partners, and write them down. Choose them, which are the 5 that you together want to use in your relationship. And then explain what you mean by it. And so that you know both what you mean by it. And then you can talk about it, actually. Because that's what most of the times we don't do. We say, okay, yeah, we love each other. That's very important for us. Yeah, of course. But then the other one is doing something and you think, that's not love for me. That's strange. Is he still in love with me? And then you start doubting again about what the other person is doing.
Right.
But the other person is only expressing his love or her love, his or her way. But it's different than yours. So that really complicates things. So please talk about it. What are your values in your relationship? How do you, what do you think about it? How does it look for you? Practical. And don't replace it for another value, but really be practical.
Right.
And agree on it, that it's one is for you, one is from right. And then it's okay.
This will also help you understand your partner better when you understand, yes, love is a common value, but what is his or her perception of love?
Yeah, indeed. And the connection will be better.
Right. And Katharina has a question for you. You can see it in the public chat, Caty. It says, how can I feel the love? I think I'm still too much in my head. Any strategy how to start to feel more? That's an interesting question. Thank you, Katharina.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because you're in your head. So what I understand about being in your head is that you think about love, as in thinking, what can I do? How can I express it? What is the other person doing? Is he or she still loving me? If that's not correct, Katharina, please let me know. But actually, it's again about the thinking and the worrying part, and you're not doing active things to show your love. So my suggestion would be, start doing and being the love you would love to receive in your own relationship. So if it's a breakfast, start giving breakfast to your partner. Is it a hug? Give your partner or your kids a hug. So start expressing what you actually would like to receive.
Oh, nice.
Does that help, Katharina?
Okay. I'm waiting for her to...
Yeah.
Start expressing what you would like to receive. Good. And Harry says, so the value love spreads in different subcontracts and feelings.
I don't know exactly what you mean by different subcontracts, but and feelings. Do you mean that it's different values? Then yes, then I totally agree.
Subcontracting love. That's an interesting thing to talk about, subcontracting, when we're talking about love. Okay, good. So Katharina is happy with your answer. Thank you, Kate. Anything else? Just put it in the chat. You have the relationship expert at your disposal right now for a couple of minutes. Okay.
Can I share another one?
Yes, please do.
Because another thing that really messes relationships up, I mean, sometimes I do use the Dutch word, sorry, is doing assumptions. Like we assume that our partner think this way or that way, or assume our partner will do household stuff, or assume our partner will whatever. But the assumption is really, really killing relationships. So in this case, please clarify upfront what you expect from the other, or check the assumption. I think you're going to do this and this and this. Is that correct? It's really simple, actually. When you hear me saying it, it's like, yeah, of course. But it's one of the biggest issues that we don't do in relationships, because we think we know the other person. Especially when we continue in the relationship, we think, oh, we know. But the assumption is really the mother of all fuck-ups, is, I think, the expression.
Thank you. Well, since you used the F word, Caty, can I share something with you as well about...
Yes, please.
What happens when you assume, you know, the word assume?
Yeah.
You make an ass out of you and me.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah. I had to think about it, but yeah, it's totally true.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And that's true, because it's so simple, but we don't do it. We don't talk about it. We assume too much in our lives. And that leads to disappointment. Totally agree. Thank you very much. Yeah. You also said something that how can you detect when relationships are going south or going bad? How can you detect that? Something that you're doing in your coaching, because you're the relationship coach for couples and also for women, right?
Yes, true. Yeah, I ask a lot of questions to the persons I'm coaching, and then I detect it quickly. But I think for yourself to detect it is, yeah, I will give some examples if that's okay. It's more like you don't feel like talking to your partner at the moment, or you don't feel like doing things together, or you're thinking all the time about your partner doing nothing in the household, for instance, or doing nothing with the kids, or doing your things not correctly your way, kind of thing. So those thoughts are taking the energy out of the relationship. And when you start doing that, or you start thinking that more times during the weeks, then the relationship will quickly go down, actually.
Right.
So you have to be very careful of what you think. So if you start thinking a lot about a relationship, or thinking a lot about the partner doing the things he shouldn't, or what's not correct, that's really a sign that it's going down, actually.
Right. If the majority of your thoughts about the partner or the relationship are negative.
Yeah, indeed.
That's a big sign. And yes, if you don't want to do stuff together anymore, and if you're kind of like...
That's obvious, yeah. And exactly what the title of this episode is, what you focus on expands. So if you start having those thoughts, those negative thoughts, you focus on it, you keep on producing more, and you will see more things your partner is doing the way you want it, or you don't like it, and you will keep on continuing. And in a week, you can be at a point like,
yes,
I don't want to be here anymore.
Yes.
And it can go very quickly.
It's like when you have a spot on your shirt, it might be tiny, but you're looking at it like constantly, oh, this bothers me. And people might not even notice, but it bothers you because you know it's there and you're focusing on it.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Wow, we have got a lot of good nuggets. So stop worrying, do something physical, how to get out of your head, how to feel more love, and how to detect early on when your relationships with anybody. I mean, it doesn't have to be only your partner. It could be kids, could be friends, could be business partners, could be your boss.
Exactly.
Team players.
Yeah.
Teams this is big. So if you notice that you're thinking about a team player in a negative way most of the times, then it's time to sit down and have a talk and find out what's going on.
Exactly. First, have a talk with yourself, and then with the other person, please.
Clear yourself what your expectations are. Maybe you didn't communicate your expectations. The same goes with partnerships. Exactly. And what happens when we assume? Now we know.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you have expectations, please share them with the other person, because then the other person can say, no, I don't want to. Or yes, of course I will. But then it's clear, and you don't have to be disappointed again, because there's a lot of disappointment in a lot of relationships. Yes. Yeah, I see that a lot.
Yes. And focus on the good things in your relationships that are still working well, or consciously create some good things. Create some momentum. Create some. All right, today we're gonna create a really nice meal. So stuff that we can still do. We can't go out to the restaurant now, but
exactly. But that's the point. If you feel like it's not that fun anymore, start creating the good things and start focusing on that. That's exactly the answer of the things we discussed. Do the opposite. Do the things you like and start focusing on what your partner is doing. I myself are sometimes in those places too, when I'm very, very busy, a lot of times abroad. Then I come back, I see this is not good, and this is not good, and this is not good. But that's not a nice place to be. So, and then I realize, I think, okay, stop doing this and focus on the things he is doing, because my partner is doing a lot of great things for us and for me.
Yes.
And then my feelings and my thoughts really go up again, and it can be very quickly.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So another good strategy is you can just ask yourself, what would I like instead? So if you're thinking about anything negative, like, he didn't give me flowers for our anniversary, I don't know, something, what would I like instead? And then focus on that. I mean, of course, you can't influence somebody else unless, of course, you ask for it. But just focusing on the opposite by asking yourself, okay, this is not what I want. What would I like instead?
Yes, exactly.
Every time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we have a couple of nice comments here again. So Katarina says, "There's one tip is if you're busy, even small smile and a hug is more than enough." Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And you're awesome, Caty.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Katerina.
And Harry says, yes, meeting expectations or wishes, exactly. And for being able to meet the expectations, we need to know what the expectations are.
True.
Very good. Cool.
So can I add to that?
Yes, please do.
Because that's exactly the point. You first need to know yourself. So you first have to work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship, most of the times we are tending to give our partner the blame. But actually it starts with ourselves. So work on yourself, do the work, the work between your ears, the work between your ears, but also what do you like? What do you want? What do you expect? So ask your questions yourself first and work on yourself. And then finally go to your partner and tell him or her what you want or like in the relationship. But start with yourself, because the self-trust you have to build first.
Yes.
If you have no self-trust, there will be no good relationship.
Yes, very good. And again, this goes also for business relationships. If you have a business partner, same thing. You need to tell him. And what we also do a lot in corporate trainings, we create a code of honor around the values to protect. And I don't know if you do this in your coaching, but we've done it with families as well.
Yeah.
Code of honor means that you share common values, like we discussed before, and then you create some rules around those values to protect the values. So, for example, one of our rules could be honesty. Values could be honesty.
Yeah.
So one of the rules around to protect honesty in a family or relationship could be we are always telling the truth no matter what, for example. Yeah. Or, I mean, one of our rules in our company and with all our students is we celebrate all wins, because we like to celebrate and we like wins. We want to get more wins. So we have an actual rule about celebrating wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you have that in writing and you put it on the wall and you call each other on it when someone's forgetting to celebrate, I'm like, hey, this is a win. Celebrate. So right now we have big win because we have the relationship expert and we got so many good nuggets. So let's celebrate together.
Yay.
Very good.
Thank you. But the win is another answer to Katarina's question. What can I do to get out of my head? Is celebrate the wins together, because it brings energy also in a family and it brings positive stuff.
Yes, create rituals to celebrate those wins.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be a glass of champagne or something like that. It can be anything.
True. What a good one is to sit down once a week and discuss what didn't work that week. Not in general, but by person, and keep it to the facts, no feelings. And like, you hurted me, because the other person most of the time didn't want to hurt you, but so only share what it was for you and the facts. And then the next round is what did work, and focus on that too, and expand that a lot, because that's the best way to bring clarity by the first one and energy by the second one.
Okay, interesting. You're doing it the other way around. We always start with the good stuff.
Then, yeah, I can imagine that. But then you don't want to hear the negative stuff anymore.
Maybe. Well, we do it mainly when we give feedback. So we have some group sessions where we give feedback. So the speaker sessions, they give feedback to each other. We first start with something good to build people up. Because if we start with this and boom, but this might be a little bit of a different strategy for feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually not feedback. It's more sharing what didn't work, and give also a suggestion what the other person can do the next time.
Be solution oriented.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we have another viewer, Raf Petrovsky. Welcome. We're coming to an end, but it's good to see you.
Harry Dan is saying good. He has to drive to his office.
Okay. Drive to your office. All right, good. Thank you, Harry.
Yes, thank you.
Stay safe. All right, any final words for our audience before we wrap this up, Caty?
Yeah, one more thing, perhaps, because I love saying always that answers are the solution. Answers are the solution in your relationship. So what I mean by that is when somebody is doing something to you, and it's in all relationship, of course, again, but when somebody is doing something to you, ask a question before you say, hey, I don't like that. But first ask a question like, what do you mean by that? What are you saying? It's a kind of the objection handling actually by the sales part. But what did you want to hurt me by doing this or saying this? So first check with the other person what he or she the intention was about it, and then most of the times the other person says, that was not my intention to hurt you, or I mean this and this and this, and it's most of the time something different than what you thought the first place. So,
again, assumptions.
Again, assumptions, but it's about the question this time. Ask a question instead of putting a statement.
Right, very good. Yes, when you ask a question, you leave room for doubt. So I'm not sure this is the way, but just checking. Right?
Yes, indeed. So, and all those tips are creating connection between your partner and you, or a better bond with your team, or a better bond with your customer. So please let us know how it works.
Mutual understanding.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Thank you very much, Caty. So for me, it's my final words: celebrate all wins. And I have an assignment for everybody watching or watching the replays later. Count at least 5 wins, and 5 wins, and celebrate them today. And if you want, post them in the comments. And it can be a little win as someone smiling at you from across the street when you're driving, someone smiling at you, or someone bringing you a cup of coffee, or the sun shines today, it's beautiful weather. This can all be a win. It doesn't have to be, I win $1 million.
Would be nice too, but
it would be nice. We'll take that. We'll take that as well. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
See you again tomorrow, same time, 1:30 at Facebook.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Let me find the button. There it is.